Good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News. Here's what we have in the bulletin. East Kingston under curfew after 5 people killed. St. Elizabeth community on edge after arson attack. And later in sports, Waterhouse second in Jamaica Premier League standings after win over Harbourview. Thank you for joining us. I'm Shamela Pullen. Here are the details. A 48-hour curfew is now in effect in Rockfort, East Kingston. This following a mass murder at a community fun day last evening. The attack, which happened in an area known as Pleasant Heights, has shocked the community and law enforcement as it comes at a time when the division has seen a significant reduction in crime. Giovanni Dennis reports.
Even as lawmen circled sections of Pleasant Heights, Rockfort in the aftermath of Monday night's mass murder, a palpable sense of fear filled the air. Few residents spoke after 7 people were shot by a group of over half a dozen heavily armed men. 5 of the 7 died on the scene. The other 2 are now in hospital. A curfew has been imposed. Superintendent Tommy Lee Chambers is head of the East Kingston Police Division.
There's a 48 hours curfew on in the Rockfort community now from 6 p.m. to 6 a.m.
Anything else the public should be alerted to at this moment?
Well, we have our investigating officers here and we will continue with our investigation into this situation.
A father and son are among the 5 men killed in the attack. 2 of the deceased are said to be aligned with gangs. Those killed have been identified as 51-year-old Ortavia Austin, otherwise called Mendez, his son 29-year-old Okiro Ortavia Austin, otherwise called Kiro, both of Oliver Road. The elder Austin is said to be a high-ranking member of the Oliver Road gang. The other deceased are 32-year-old O'Dane Joseph, otherwise called Bones, a handyman of Pleasant Heights, 38-year-old Roswick Thomas, otherwise called Tenniel, a laborer of Oliver Road, and a man believed to be John Dolphy, otherwise called John Dixon, a carpenter of a Rockfort address. The police say Mr. Dolphy is the leader of the Base 1 gang. 2 other men were wounded during the attack. This is the 3rd mass shooting in October alone, after 4 people were killed in Westmoreland at the start of the month, and 6 people were shot, leaving 1 woman dead in Cassava Peace 2 weeks ago. 8 people were killed in Cherry Tree Lane in August.
It is so sad. And we here in the Kingston Eastern Division, my team here in the Kingston Eastern Division, we're not going to put up with what is happening because we continue to work hard. September was a 0 murder month for us. And we are now at the 21st of October. And this is the first major incident that we are seeing. And 5 one time, that is not good.
No clear motive has been established. Superintendent Chambers says the police will leave no stone unturned in their probe.
We will continue to work hard to reassure the citizens in the Rockfort community that all is not lost. And they have our support, and we will continue to give them that support so that the Rockfort community will continue to be the place of choice for them to live, raise a family, and do their business.
Giovanni Dennis, TVJ News.
Meanwhile, Member of Parliament for East Kingston and Port Royal, Philip Paulwell, has strongly condemned the brutal attack. Mr. Paulwell says he's shocked and saddened at what he described as a senseless act of terror.
I have already spoken to the Minister of National Security, and I'm calling for an immediate response from the security forces. We need a stronger security presence in Rockfort and the surrounding areas, and I urge community groups, churches, and local leaders to unite in addressing this ongoing violence. Counseling services must also be provided to the families of the victims and those who witnessed this horrific event. This is a painful and a traumatic time for our community, but we will not let violence define us.
Mr. Paulwell is urging residents who witnessed the attack or have information to cooperate with the authorities.
This cowardly attack has shattered the peace of our community. My thoughts and prayers are with the families who lost their loved ones and with those who are now fighting for their lives. I'm urging anyone who saw or heard anything to come forward and assist the police in their investigation. It is only by working together that we can bring those responsible to justice and to restore peace to our streets.
Tension is high in the community of Magotty, St. Elizabeth. This after 2 persons, including a child, were shot and injured when their home was firebombed Tuesday morning. The details from Karen Simpson.
The usually quiet community in Dry River District in Magotty, St. Elizabeth was awakened by a barrage of gunshots Tuesday morning. It's understood that a family was asleep when 3 gunmen firebombed the dwelling, then opened fire, hitting the occupants. 2 of 4 occupants were found suffering from gunshot wounds. They were rushed to hospital where they are undergoing treatment. TVJ News understands that the incident stemmed from a domestic dispute.
Certain things happen with the baby, between the baby mother and the baby father. So the mother and the daughter sleep together. But when they show the auntie first, because they never realize they're not a mother, they ain't catch. So when they grab on the grandmother, the mother for the baby have a baby in a fear hand. So when she grab on this mother, you know, and say, no, I'm a mother, then let go she. And shoot, but when they shoot, the baby blacky. And then shoot at him again, the baby blacky with the other side.
The family is still in shock.
I'm in shock. So tell me can't even ball. I'm shocked and we can't even ball. Tell you honest truth.
That penalty, they come in back in Jamaica. And enough young men are do something to them baby mother way. You know, call for. And imagine in a mind that they put in the funny day ban.
But guess what?
So even heard.
The St. Elizabeth police are investigating. This is the second shooting in Magotty since Saturday after a businessman was shot and killed during a robbery at a wholesale. Carrie Simpson, TVJ News.
Disgruntled workers at Royalton Negril Hotel are meeting with senior management today. This is to resolve issues that led to Sunday's strike. The workers protested over low wages and poor treatment. Their action has disrupted hotel operations, prompting some guests to leave. Another meeting is scheduled for tomorrow with Tourism Minister Edmund Bartlett, the management and workers at the hotel. The debate about the poor state of Jamaica's court infrastructure continued in the Upper House last Friday. Opposition Senator Lambert Brown says legislators are making laws to be enforced in courthouses that are in a terrible state.
Just this week, on all angles, they had the Minister of Justice, you had the Chief Justice speaking to the state of our courts. There have been threats from the staff in the courts. There have been photographs and videos of the dilapidated state of several court buildings throughout the country. And so we're putting in this new wine, so to speak, in old wineskin. And as we put in this new wine, I would hope that we can pay some attention to bring in the worst cases in the court, physical condition, up to some level of decency.
But government lawmakers explained the administration only had the resources to make investments in the justice system over the last 8 years. This includes increased wages for members of the judiciary.
And I know the FinSAC archives were published this week, and I welcome that. I believe that's a step in the right direction because it will serve as a reminder to current generations and future generations of the poor policies pursued by our former PNP administration that set this country back decades. And therefore, the current administration has to be judicious in terms of use of resources to upgrade certain sectors.
It's time for a break. Stay with us. More stories when we return. Welcome back to the Midday News. There are renewed calls for Louise Bennett Coverley and Bob Marley to be made national heroes. Prime Minister Andrew Hone has proposed creating a new national honor, the honor of national icon for the two legends. But speaking on TVJ Smile Jamaica Tuesday, culture and gender activist Professor Opal Palmer Adiza says, while that is an important step, the government must go further.
National heroes, because yes, we have cultural icons who inspire us and who spread our cultures. A national hero does more, and I think both Louise Bennett and Bob Marley have done more. They not only inspire, they empower, which I think is an important thing. That, you know, when we think of Paul Bogle, when we think of Marcus Garvey, when we think of Nanny, there's an empowering feeling and attitude about them that makes us feel like we can transform our society to be better and more equal. And Bob Marley and Miss Lou have done that in numerous ways.
She says the guidelines to becoming a national hero must be made clearer to the Jamaican people.
Certainly, Miss Lou and Bob Marley have they've gone beyond the boundaries of culture. They're not just limited, and not that culture is limited, because culture is the base on which we sit or on which we stand. But certainly Louise Bennett and Bob Marley have broken way beyond that. The global branding of Jamaica is posited on those two people. You know, Miss Lou was recognized by Google 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It's now time for the Business Minute.
The country's net international reserves continue to fall from the $5.27 billion to which it climbed as at the end of September. This due to the central bank's heavy intervention in the foreign exchange market since the start of this month. The BOJ intervened with $90 million last week, but the dollar still traded above 159 to 1 US. This indicating a major gap between the demand and supply for foreign exchange. Further afield, in the UK, government borrowing rose last month, marking the third highest September since records began in January 1993. Official figures show that borrowing, the difference between spending and tax take, reached £16.6 billion. The Office of National Statistics said the spending increase was partly due to higher debt interest and public sector pay raises. Experts say the numbers represent a challenge for the Treasury at the budget next week, as it has decided it will not borrow to fund day-to-day spending. It is, however, expected to change its self-imposed debt rules to give it more leeway on investment, meaning it could spend more on longer-term projects. And that's it for the Business Minute. I'm Kerry Ann Simpson.
Time now for the top regional and international stories.
In the region, Suriname's Home Affairs Minister Bronto Somaharja has resigned from the coalition government amid corruption investigations in his ministry. He stated that he's willing to be a sacrificial lamb to ease political pressure and expressed confidence that the investigation will exonerate him. Somaharja urged for the CLAD report to be made public and announced that his party will run independently in the May 25, 2025 elections. On the international scene, Italian first responders faced severe weather over the weekend, rescuing people from flooded areas in Sicily and a giant sinkhole in Calabria that swallowed a car. Dramatic rescues were also conducted near Bologna, including a helicopter evacuation of a 3-month-old baby and its parents. The region, still recovering from last year's devastating floods, has been further affected by Storm Boris earlier this year, which left the ground saturated. The Civil Protection Agency has issued a red alert for Tuesday, anticipating more flooding as river levels rise. And those were the top regional and international stories. I'm Nakinsky Robinson.
We take another break. Sports is next.